I don't like baseball.
No!
I don't like baseball.
No!
I don't like baseball.
He's becoming a
I
joke.
don't like baseball. I don't like baseball. CHGO White Sox post-game show presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Welcome into Studio B of our CHGO offices in the West Loop of Chicago. I am your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Joey Christopoulos, our producer. He will be your voice today. If you have any thoughts on Chicago White Sox baseball, Joey can be your voice to getting on air. So badger Joey in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We are coming to you live after a Chicago White Sox loss. 6-5 against the Seattle Mariners. They won yesterday 1-0. Won in a painful fashion on Monday in a 5-1 loss. It's a series that I feel like they could have, should have swept the Mariners.
Slipped through the fingers, maybe?
When I was talking about this team going 15-13 in May, drinking my White Sox nitrous oxide. I don't think you drink that. I think you huff that anyways.
Yeah, it's Kanye. I don't know.
The whole point is I wasn't in a rational sense of mind when I said that, apparently. I thought that they could do well against the Mariners, and they did. They honestly won the game that they shouldn't have. We'll get to it. We'll talk about today's game. We'll talk about how they could have swept. I have a new little toy from Statcast. If you've been dying, salivating at the mouth to hear about swing path, attack angles, and swing path tilt, today is your day, my friend. And if you have any thoughts, you can always let us know in the comments down below. What that swing path and attack angle discussion is going to lead to is Luis Robert Jr. sucks. Apparently, people want me to say that. Husky Bardo in the CHGO Discord just says, at what point do we get to say that he sucks? I think I literally said this at some point last year to you guys. He sucked at the end of last year. I don't think we were not saying it last year. He wasn't good after he returned in June. He didn't want to be here. I don't know if he currently wants to be here because I thought his April was promising. It wasn't good, but I thought it was promising. He was walking a lot more, stealing bags, playing good defense. The one thing that he's always shown is his ability to hit and power. I just thought that was going to show up. But 0 for 4 today, 3 Ks. Really, since I said, man, he hasn't met his expectations, but I love watching him. I think he's gone, well, he was 3 for 20. So then you add 3 to that. He's now 3 for 23 since last Thursday with 7 strikeouts.
They're not even like hang wolfums, to use a Hawk parlance of the past times, right? It's not like there's guys like diving and snagging liners off the bat of Luis Robert Jr. Just doesn't look good.
Well, like there was I think 3 balls in that past couple of games.
He smoked the ball in the corner the other day.
He smoked the ball in the corner late in the game last year, which was a double for the Cubs. He had one that was opposite field against Julian Mayweather in the Cubs game. It was like 102. It's just a difficult, windy ballpark that kept that one in. And then he had one last night as well that was hit well. It was like 102, but it was a 44-degree launch angle, so it was hit up into the winds. That ball got knocked down. So, I mean, there have been some balls that he has struck well. And again, that's what has been promising about him. But I'll talk a little bit more about Luis Robert Jr. Hey, I can get on a tangent real quick. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we stay on task here. We are talking about today's game on May 21st. Sox fall to 15-35 on the season. Hasn't been fun in the past 212 games if you're a Chicago White Sox fan. 156 losses in the past 212 games. They have lost 73.5% of their baseball games in the past 212 games. I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to let that sting. I'm going to let that fester
He's becoming a joke.
Makes you want to scratch your skin. I don't have a skin disorder, but man, I feel just a case of eczema boiling up under my skin. Again, I don't know how anything works in this world, so I don't think eczema boils under your skin, but it's been a real terrible 2 years. And unfortunately, this year isn't over. It's closer to the beginning than the end.
It's only just begun.
And I thought May was going to be a lot different. I thought May was going to be a time where they were able to turn it around, and they've got the starting pitching.
And?
Oh, no, I was done.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I had to keep talking.
It's like counting hard-hit balls with Luis
Robert on one hand. We have 40 more minutes
hand.
left of this podcast? Great. No wonder Thunder God 72 hates this program. They just have not had any offense. There's been Chase Mydroth when he is leading off a game. If you just looked at Chase Mydroth's at-bats, I think in the month of May, in the first inning when he was leading off the game, that the White Sox offense is unstoppable. They should just stop the games at that point. Chase got on today, a leadoff double. He's been really fun to watch. Has he been, a superstar? No, let's not get dramatic. He's been a guy that I think has talked himself into a decent chunk of playing time. We'll see if that turns into a superstar. Because, hey, you can look at Yoan Moncada's swing last night for the Los Angeles Angels, and, in 2019, you're probably like, oh, they must have traded Moncada at some point from 2019 to 2024. Oh, they declined his option? Why is he hitting 700-foot bombs for the Los Angeles Angels in a Sacramento minor league park against the Sacramento A's?
Good air out there. Dry air.
You never know when it's going to click for a player. And I just think that Mydroth showing this ability at a major league level, he should get time to learn when it will fully click for him, because there are a lot of moments where he looks fantastic. Today was a game where he looked fantastic. He's also playing out of position, I think. He's playing currently out of position at shortstop. At some point, he'll become a second baseman, I think, full-time. Let's get into today's game. Shane Smith, who has been a phenomenal pickup for the White Sox, and Chris Getz in the Rule 5 draft, was out on the bump today. It was a steady light rain to start the game, and you saw that affect Shane Smith early in the first. Walks to Crawford and Polanco to start the game, and he just could not find the zone. Ethan Katz comes out and says, hey, Shane, J-Rod is a guy that you really don't want to give a fat fastball to, right? So let's just go to your breaking ball. Let's throw some sliders to start this AB and see if we could get 0-2. Shane throws a beautiful slider on the 0-0 pitch, 0-1. He gets ahead in the count, throws another slider. It's outside of the zone, a pretty tough one. And he's like, all right, well, it's time to throw a fastball to Julio. Hey, Joey, remember that conversation on Monday we had?
How'd my guy do today?
When you were talking about how Julio Rodriguez is a disappointment.
Okay, before you say this,
hold on. Before the guy that since 2022 is 10th in Major League Baseball in F4, you said that he's a disappointment.
Yeah, what did he do today?
He's only his contract right now. He makes $20 million a season. That's going to be the same case for about 5 years, and then he's going to make about $18 million around the ages of 31 to 34. What do you think he did? He threw him a fastball on a 1-1 count. Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod. I should just say J-Rod. J-Rod got a fastball. What do you think happened?
Sliding scale that he's hitting home runs off White Sox pitching, or no? Did he go to a
major league ball club?
Did he go deep?
He's hitting home runs in Sacramento.
The White Sox are confirmed
to
be a major league ball club. It's true.
What do you think happened?
I think he went yard.
I think he went yard. 3-0 ball game. J-Rod hits a 3-run homer and makes Shane Smith pay. Shane, again, has been a very, very good pitcher this year. That was probably his 3 worst at-bats all in a row right there. That was a terrible way to start the game for Shane Smith. You feel bad for him because the last outing was 6 runs for him. Only 1 were actually earned. But again, just a sloppy start. You didn't love to see it for him because he has been so good and he hasn't gotten offensive support. And what does he get today? Offensive support. At some point, the White Sox will take the lead. It's currently 3-0. And believe this, at some point, not only will they tie the game in an inning, they will take the lead off of Joshua Palacios' home run. So spoiler alert, somehow he actually gets offensive support, and they still lose the game. It's 3-0 in the first, and at some point, the White Sox had the win probability in their advantage. Raleigh K's Randy grounded out, Tellez Cade, so Shane's able to get around that 3-run homer, I guess mainly just because no one was on base and he was able to get three outs. Bottom of the first, Mydroth, again, a double to lead off the game, 9-game hit streak. In his 8-game hit streak before this, a .419 average, 105, 1 OPS, and 4 multi-hit games for Mydroth. Vargas then lined out and moved Mydroth to third. Tice Cade, and then here is everyone's favorite, Luis Robert Jr., swinging at 2 sweepers well outside the zone. Then he had 2 takes, and then he throws a changeup, Evans, pretty much at the plate, and Robert swings. So 3 swings in that at-bat, all the pitches well outside the zone. Luis Robert Jr., a career high in walks. He also, I think now, with today's game, is at a career high. Percent in K percentage. So he really is just not swinging the bat at all. Maybe we should just have him swing more. But, then he swings at the second pitch in the 8th inning. I'm getting ahead of myself, and he grounds out. So anyways, on to the top of the second. It's a pretty rough inning, but Shane's able to get through it. But through the second inning, Shane's at 53 pitches. He ends at 80, which is a true testament to how well he was able to settle in to this game. And it was truly one mistake for Shane Smith that was just compounded with 2 mistakes. So I guess it was 3 mistakes. I mean, well, if you count the 4 balls and then the pitch that he throws to J-Rod and then also the ball, I guess it's like 10 mistakes. So like a really just rough first inning for Shane Smith. But outside of that, he's able to work around it. Sox really don't get much in the bottom of the second. They do get a Palacios walk, but Vaughn grounded into a double play. Through 3 innings, Smith was at 70 pitches. There was a Raleigh double and a Randy Arozarena hit by pitch, but he was able to get around it. He got 2 Ks in the top of the third. And then in the bottom of the third, everyone's been waiting for it, and I pretty much told you, the only 3 things that Tim Elko will do is ground out, strike out, and hit a home run. Joey, what do you do today?
Elk does a body good. What yard?
Does a body good. Home run for Tim Elko.
Of elk.
31 Mariners lead after the Elko home run. 110.6 miles per hour. Joey, let's take a little quiz. Who has hit the 2 hardest home runs in the White Sox 2025 season?
Hey there, Sean. I got to go with both Tim Elko there.
Yeah, Tim Elko is 1, and he is number 2. 110.6 is the second hardest. The first hardest was just against the Cubs at 111.1. Seems like the guy should have been called up a little bit earlier. Again, he didn't really have the greatest spring. He wasn't in the internal White Sox top 30, as was reported by Jared Willis over at ALLCITY. He's made a real big impact. And the thing is, at first base, what you want is a guy that is tall enough to catch mostly everything. There was a Mydroth throw in today's game that bounced over his glove. But outside of that, there was some really nice plays by Elko at first base. Steve Stone even remarked, being like, this guy is a wonderful first baseman. You really just love to see a craftsman at work over at first base. I don't know what he said exactly. That wasn't a quote. But Elko's defense has been notable over at first base. Now he has 3 home runs on the major league team. The leader, I think, is Miguel Vargas with 6. And then there's a couple guys with 5. So Tim Elko's on their tails, and he's been on the team for 2 weeks. Should have been up earlier. A real mistake by the Sox. Bottom of the third is only the Elko home run. Evans is able to get around after the home run. In the top of the fourth, another 1-2-3 inning for Shane Smith. 80 pitches through 4. I'm sorry about that. He does get only 7 pitches in the top of the 5th. So Shane Smith's day ends at 87 pitches, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Again, settled in after those leadoff walks and that home run. Really good job by Shane, because you could probably think a guy that was picked in the Rule 5 draft probably is playing with house money at this point. Maybe this is a moment where he just lets the moment get to himself. And he didn't do that. He settled in. It was probably, one of his worst starts. But again, you look at just the first 3 hitters, you take those out. Pretty fantastic. So congrats again to Shane Smith. He's really done everything with this ticket. He got a golden ticket, and he's right now Charlie. He is not eating from the lagoon and being sucked up into the chocolate fountain. He's not eating the blueberry mints, right, and blowing up like Violet Beauregard, right? Where I'm going. Well, he's not being shrunk down into the size of a TV like Mike TV. He is going to be riding off into the glass elevator.
Yeah, if we're casting this movie right now, is Luis
Shane
Robert
Smith.
Jr. one of the grandparents in the bed that refuses to leave?
Maybe
That
I was
won't
honestly
get up?
thinking, who's the large, rotund, Rubenesque German
Augustus
child?
Gloop?
I think he's honestly Gloop.
That might be Andrew Vaughn.
Because again, maybe
might be,
might be
Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah, Gloop is probably Andrew Vaughn.
Coming to theaters near you.
I don't know. Maybe he's Mike TV, Luis Robert Jr.
The Candy Corporation
Just
guy
loves
is clearly
DoorDash.
Jerry. The sending in the spies to try and steal the chocolate. That's Jerry.
All right, let's stop with this. But Shane Smith has done a great job with the golden ticket. We're getting a break at this point, but bottom of the fourth, he gets some run support. Tice with a full count single, gets a runner on, an awful at bat from Luis Robert Jr., but that's negated by Lenyn Sosa's 2-run home run, an up and in changeup that he was able to get out into the bullpen. Fat hipsters asking, what is Lenyn Sosa's trade value? Infinity. Never trade him. He's the franchise. And Joshua Palacios said, hey, let's follow it up. Back-to-back home runs. Sox take the 4-3 lead. In the top of the sixth, Cal Raleigh hits a solo home run, ties it up 4-4. In the bottom of the sixth, Sox go 1-2-3. A part of that 1-2-3, Robert Cade for the third time. And then in the bottom of the seventh, the Sox, in a tie game, get an infield single from Elko. It's later overturned to an error, a Rojas walk, but then a Chase Mydroth single, a 5-4 lead for the Sox. Elko scores, but then Vargas and Tice Cade, so no more damage. In the top of the eighth, Mike Vasil, Tellez hits a double. It's technically as a double. Ball gets past Taylor, though, so it was a single that should have been, it was a double that should have been a single, but next batter, Leody Taveras, 2-run homer, 6-5. That's where the Mariners take the lead, and just really nothing else for the end of the game. Sox lose 6-5, 15-35 on the year. I'll talk to you in the next segment about how the Sox could have swept the Mariners. We want to let you know about our beautiful, great friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, who are actually right over there. They're right over there. Chris Pankow is meeting with them right now, so I get to talk to the Sunnyside people after this. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase an array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary, with locations in the city like Wrigleyville and River North, and to suburbs like Champaign and South Beloit. And here is the best thing. Folks, I've been telling you to go visit sunnyside.shop for Bite Buys every day, including 50% off for you new users. Your first 3 online purchases, you can enter code HICHGO to qualify for 50% off at checkout. Exclusions do apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, Bite Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders, but for existing users. You'd use promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item. So if you've already used your 3 first purchases, you can now go get 50% off a wonderful Cresco Lab item. So go check out our friends over at sunnyside.shop.
Call your sons, call your daughters, call your friends, call your neighbors.
Oh, I thought we were going to cut it off at daughters there, Hawk. We're going to go now to Circus Sportsbook. We want to let you know about our friends over at Circus Sportsbook. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circus Sports Illinois. Circus Sports is sports betting the way it should be. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. So you can bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. You can bet on the spreads, props, futures, or in-game wagering. Circus Sports has it all. I have really enjoyed golf betting. I have some first-round leader plays for the Charles Schwab Invitational that's taking place tomorrow. I also have some outright winners. The easiest thing to do in golf is to take Scotty Scheffler. So go take Scotty Scheffler over at Circus Sports. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 21 plus or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's head into segment 2, where we take the temperature of Chicago with our friends over at Four Seasons Heating and Air Conditioning. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. You look at Monday's game, and it's 1-1 heading into the 8th. Cam Boozer, The White Sox officially listed him as the closer heading into the series, according to John Triffin on Monday. Cam Boozer comes in and he walks the first batter. Then Polanco gets on as well. Bases are loaded, and he gives up a grand slam to terrorize Joey Christopoulos. If Cam Boozer does his job and he's able to retire Crawford and Polanco, if Davis Martin maybe isn't let out there in the seventh inning pitching that deep, or if Martin's able to retire the first two righties like was the ideal plan, the Sox go to the eighth inning with a 1-run lead. That's a game that they could have won. I won't use should have won because this is the Chicago White Sox, and they shouldn't have even won yesterday. Yesterday, everyone's all hyped up about Adrien Howser and the fact that he officially signed at 3:25 p.m. He didn't meet Edgar Caro until 2 o'clock. I mean, James Fox was reporting on Friday that the White Sox were in touch with Adrien Howser. He reported yesterday, or not yesterday, I'm talking now on Monday. He reported on Monday at 10 p.m. that Adrien Howser would be starting tomorrow's game. So he at least knew 24 hours in advance that he was starting that game. And still, Adrien Howser, who throws a 24% called strike plus whiff percentage, a guy with, last year a 5+ ERA, you're very lucky to get out of that game with the outing that he did and then continue to only win 1-0. Like the fact that Cam Boozer didn't allow another homer to Julio Rodriguez. I think that was the White Sox first 1-0 home win, or first 0 win since last year, June 27th, 2024, White Sox versus Braves. And then that was the first 1-0 home win since 2018. Do we have that graphic? Did I share that graphic? That graphic is it's an in-game graphic. I didn't share it, so that's on my bad. Josh Nelson asked yesterday, what was the last time the Sox won 1-0? And in that June 27th broadcast, shout out to Davey Mars, August 10th versus Cleveland. 2018 was the last 1-0 home win before June 27th, 2024. And then yesterday. So since August 2018, they have 3 1-0 home wins. They just have never really been able to either get that pitching or that offense both at the same time. So they were very, very, very lucky, is my point, to even win the game that they won yesterday. And the 2 that they lost, they should have won. You get homers from Elko, Sosa, and Palacios. A sick kid and the child asked Joshua Palacios, Mister, do you have any home runs? And Brooke Fletcher was like, Joshua Palacios was like, not yet, kid, huh? And now, Joshua Palacios, she was like, maybe Joshua Palacios can dedicate that home run to the sick child in the hospital. What are we talking about? How do we lose this game? I'm sorry to yell, Joey, you gotta spray me. You gotta spray me.
It's at the ready.
They could have swept them. And that's the frustrating thing is, like, again, if you're looking at the record, this team is exactly like the 2024 team. Exactly like the 2024 team. 15-35. They haven't been shut out as much. They've won in bigger blowouts than the 2024 team could ever dream of. But still, at the end of the day, through 50 games, they're 15-35. In 212 games, they've lost 73% of those games.
They're sitting on 2 saves right now for the year.
They're sitting on 2 saves right now. And in a
I think only 5 opportunities.
In a 1-run game, they throw out Mike Vasil, another Rule 5 guy.
So what's your take on that?
3 guys from the Rule 5 draft on this effing team.
So what's the miscommunication here between Triffin officially announcing Cam Boozer as the closer, and then?
But he was used in the highest leverage spots. That wasn't a 1-0. That wasn't a 1-0 spot, and he was used on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
So that's the reason why Vasil was out today. They just didn't have their guy to go to, and that wasn't even the point to go to. I mean, because again, you'd probably want him in the 9th inning. You probably would have seen Boozer in the 9th. But as Melissa says, very eloquently. Why don't you say it? Because you're the voice of the people.
The bullpen blows. Thank you, Melissa. Always great to see you in the chat.
Is that how you take that read? The bullpen blows? See, I would say the bullpen blows. You got to really, she capitalized that. She wants to emphasize blows. It's
not good.
It's just disappointing that the games that you shouldn't win are the games that everyone is very excited about, that Adrien Howser is going to save the team. I I just think that with that luck, you look at the Monday and Wednesday game, those are also games that they should have won. They're more righteous in actually winning those games. It's just really frustrating. At the end of the day, it's absolutely just frustrating to watch this team because they should be better, and you just stare at that record because it's driven me insane. They were 81-81 in 2023. No, 61-101, and then 81-81. This is not what this timeline could have or should have been. 2020, 2021 could have been really important special years for the White Sox franchise. And you would have thought, again, Luis Robert Jr. would have been leading the charge at that point 4 years from now, taking the helm from Jose Abreu. And, man, he has just not done that at all. It's extremely, extremely disappointing. We're going to talk about Luis Robert Jr. in a second. We are going to talk about the new Statcast metrics that are out there as well. I do want to go to Berg7F91 in the chat. Have been planning on trying to do a little short around ownership. We have not been able to do that. But Berg says, sorry, I haven't been paying attention closely. What is the latest on Justin Ishbia's status going forward? So the last thing that we have heard, the obviously biggest thing was the John Greenberg and now I'm blanking on Dan Hayes' report from The Athletic that Justin Ishbia was abandoning his pursuit of Minnesota Twins ownership to increase his minority stake in the Chicago White Sox. What we were able to learn at CHGO was that the majority of the minority owners that were approached to sell at the evaluation, I believe it was a $1.8 billion evaluation, that the majority of those owners that were approached with the offer agreed to sell. The latest update is from Matt Spiegel over at 670 The Score. This was about a month ago. Justin and Matt Ishbia now own 35% of the White Sox. That is in minority stake. That is not in the actual majority stake. I don't know how to fully lay out White Sox ownership because I don't understand it. The way that White Sox ownership was set up, it was in a time before Bud Selig was commissioner. It was kind of the Wild West. How I believe it was set up was Jerry Reinsdorf and Eddie Einhorn had controlling shares. And then below that, they allowed fellow business people to buy into the White Sox at minority stakes. At the end of the day, these people had nothing to say with Jerry Reinsdorf and Eddie Einhorn because of the controlling branch that was set up. I think when Einhorn passed, Jerry took that controlling ownership stake. So I believe there's two controlling ownership stakes, and Reinsdorf currently holds both of them. What Spiegel has kind of shed light on, what we previously reported, was that Matt and Justin own 35% of the minority stakes. There is a fund that's controlled by Reinsdorf's sons, Michael and Jonathan, that account for 30%. Reinsdorf has a 20% stake, and then about 8 or so limited partners combined for 15%. So Spiegel gave the actual color to the ownership percentage, but as you can put together, Reinsdorf owns 20%, and then the Reinsdorf sons, Michael and Jonathan, own 30%. Together, that's 50%. You could probably just say, hey, couldn't the Ishbia brothers own the other 15% and then take over the 50%, right? And take their 35 to 60%, right? No.
Well, math aside, what I've kind of been able
the
to
whole
glean,
point is that there is no way for right now Ishbia to take over Reinsdorf, and it's mainly because Jerry will not sell the controlling stake.
Right, and that's
Reinsdorf can whittle his actual 20% down to, I think, like 1%. The main thing is the stake ownership, the controlling stake.
Yeah, and they controlled it that certain way. And I've also noticed across sports, you're seeing it right now with the Chicago Bears too as well. They allow outside investors to come in and put money into a franchise. That does not mean that they have more control of that franchise before. It just means that they're allowed to put in some money to help the major controlling forces of whatever organization it is in whatever sport, obviously get other things done, whether they are renovations with the ballpark, whether they are building a new ballpark, whether it's building whatever the Chicago Bulls are trying to do with their social, ecosystem or whatever that they're going to try and build. So it is an interesting thing that you can take in money from outside the organization. That does not mean that outside money gets more control over your team.
Right. So right now, Justin Ishbia and Matt Ishbia are giving the Rhinestores money. Woohoo. And we thought that would be the case because of the idea that they would be helping the process of the 78 or whatever the next White Sox stadium would be to get funded. But obviously, this is a slow building process. You could just look to the Bears and their current fiasco with Arlington Heights and the lakefront. It seems like the Bears are moving towards an Arlington Heights property and building on that, even though they've owned it for 3+ years now at this point. So anyways, hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. We got about 30 viewers and only 6 likes. So if you haven't hit that like button and you are commenting, we'd appreciate you to hit that like button. We got to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. We want to let you know about our friends over at Stalling Game Time.
We love Game Time.
We do. White Sox are going to be in town this weekend against the Rangers. The biggest thing for White Sox fans is when you go to the park, you need to save the most money possible. We love baseball in Chicago, and baseball in Chicago is cheapest on the south side. It has the best food, and if you do not drive, you can get there $2.50 one way on the blue line, red line, $2.50 the way back. So all in all, with food, with CTA, and with game time, you could probably have a date for 2 people under $50 if you get the right ticket over at Game Time. But with last-minute deals, as you walk up to the park, prices go down the closer you get to Game Time. So let's say for a 6:40 start on Friday, show up around 6:30, 6:35, and wait for those $3 tickets. And you and your boo, or you and your thang, or you and your boo thang, whatever you prefer, can roll up to the park and have a nice, lovely date because of our friends over at Game Time. So use code CHGO to get 20% off your first purchase over at Game Time. Game Time, $20 off your first purchase. I'm sorry, I don't know how to read. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Ray Chevy. If you are in the market for a new vehicle, head over to Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. They are kicking off the summer with a big Memorial Day savings all month long. Come in today to shop the Memorial Day sales event and drive home with 0% financing for 60 months on select new Chevy models, or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicago's largest Chevy inventories, you'll be sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you'll get a great deal. Plus, with Ray's price promise, it lets you shop confidently because a guarantee of no add-ons, no hidden fees, and no gimmicks. That means the price you're hearing now is the price that you'll pay. If you see a price online, it's the price you'll pay over at Ray Chevy. Go see for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. Shop Ray Chevy in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive and don't miss out on those Memorial Day sales events. All right. Hit that thumbs up button. Berg saying, I wish that consistently bad baseball teams should have to sell shares to the public like the Packers currently do, if I'm correct. I wish consistently that all sports teams had to do that. The public should own the team that they pay taxes on. Like, America has done a great job of making a certain amount of people very, 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 very wealthy. And those very, very, very wealthy people are able to make very stupid, inane purchases. Sometimes you're lucky and a Steve Ballmer embraces his purchases like he has with the Clippers. But how long does that last? How long until Steve Ballmer gets bored? Steve Ballmer's still going to have all of his effing money. But when he gets bored, the lack of care, the lack of sending people to the Western Conference Finals for Game 7 and buying out all the Nuggets fans, that's just going to wear thin on him, because it just does. Jerry Reinsdorf can think back to 1932 and all of his love for the Brooklyn Dodgers, but at the end of the day, he doesn't have that heat, fire, and passion like he did when he was, screwing people over in 1981 and, getting those darn players in 1994. They want that. They want more money and more wages. Screw them. And you know what? Even when this is over, I'll pay Albert Bell the largest contract ever. So, you know what? I do wish that, Berg. I wish that the public had more ability when what happens with their effing team, because this team's going to affect my life a lot longer than Jerry Reinsdorf's, I think.
You are definitely,
if I'm lucky to live to 90.
I mean, you're definitely bringing up a parable with the White Sox and the current state of economics, because we are literally going through a situation of, I'm asking myself every single day, of when you take it down to the studs, when you rebuild, when you start over, the way the White Sox are doing right now, have they taken it too far? That is always the question I have in my mind, because people are like, well, no one wants the White Sox, and Jerry is not interested in a team winning 74 games and slowly building towards 500, slowly building towards 88 wins, 90 wins, so on and so forth, that kind of incremental progression. He says, screw it. I'm not going to spend $10 or $15 million a year on X or Y player in a 2-3 year deal. I'm just going to let these kids grow up, and maybe if they get good enough, we will then pounce and spend some money. That seems to be an economic model that stretches just beyond baseball as well.
I think at least just in baseball that's very prevalent. You can look at the Brewers, and the Brewers are a team that consistently sells out Miller or American Family Insurance or whatever the hell their stadium's called.
It's family something now, yeah.
They sell out consistently. Yet you can see in 2020 and 2021 their owner saying, oh, we weren't making a profit. I just find that really tough to believe when you're selling out consistently for 81 games. But with the lack of broadcast money that has come in, there's obviously the purchase of BAM Tech, which got $30 million towards the owner, each and every owner, when Disney purchased MLB's BAM Tech. What you're seeing is the lack of spending. Like, I think you're seeing that with Pittsburgh. Everyone's like, well, they're not spending on Paul Skeens. And what John Heyman just heard is that, you know, the Pirates will never spend on or never trade Paul Skeens, and that they will build around Paul Skeens. And it's like, well, you're not building around Paul Skeens right now. Like, they need
to say that to their constituency to keep them coming, keep the turnstiles coming in the ballpark.
They need that one season, right? They need that moment for them where they think everything is aligned, where Paul Skeens is still like on a controllable contract. He's, you know, we've built up Mitch Keller and Jared Jones and et cetera around him, right? Our rotation's decent enough, and then we'll go out and spend $45 million. We'll really go out on the ledge and we'll spend the $45 million to give them one shot at winning it. Like, that is the idea. You're looking at the White Sox following the Rays and Brewers model. What I think Jerry Reinsdorf is doing is, again, preparing this team to be sold. Jerry Reinsdorf understands that in 10 years, it's likely he won't be alive. He's a 90-year-old person. People don't live past 78. That's just me spouting facts. What I think Jerry is trying to do is keep this team debt-free, which has been reported that this team does not have any debt. That is very, very attractive to the White Sox. You can look at the Twins, and the whole reason the Pohlads really haven't been able to find a buyer and the Ishbia is abandoned was because of the amount of debt that the Pohlads have. With the lack of incoming broadcast money, now the White Sox having to put on their own broadcasts, money in baseball is going to go down. And that's why the Dodgers, with their crazy broadcast rights, are able to spend an exorbitant amount. Or Steve Cohen, with their decent broadcasting right with SNY and his pockets, they're able to spend. But outside of that, you're seeing a true retraction of spending all around baseball, because that's honestly the future. You're going to see teams spend less and less and less. And unfortunately, that has just been the case with the White Sox, that they never got that big free agent fish. I could see that even, 4 years from now, if Mydroth, Caro, Teal, Schultz, Smith, all of them hit, Wilco is Aaron Judge, right? Like, you're not still going to see that $100 million free agent. You're going to see maybe them spend a little bit, but it will be like a Luis Severino $75 million 3-year deal, because they want it to work in those 3 years, because that's when they can actually make money, is when the team is good, people are watching, people are coming to the ballpark. When everything's hitting, that's when they're going to be able to spend their money, is because they're actually making money. Well, because they don't want any debt, because at least for Jerry, his goal is to sell.
No, you're 100% correct, and I just find that to be incredibly ironic, and maybe it's an oversimplification, which I'm sure it's way more complicated. But when Jerry was complaining and bemoaning that broadcast networks used to toss money at the White Sox, and that's what made it so viable and great, now that they actually have their own control over their own product, and they can either license it out or they can go out and just put, a shovel in the ground and start getting their own sales and their own marketing, they're running lean.
Right, and
they're waiting out on a good deal, right, from the specific cable carriers, and I think that has something to do also with the impending sale, that they're not going to dig in, and they're going to make you buy your $7 antenna until they get the right type of deal because they have a bigger picture in mind, and it has nothing to do with the product on the field right now.
And hey, depending on which side of our building you're on, the antenna either works or doesn't.
Okay, so just take you behind the scenes real quick for the people that are tuning in, and make sure you like this video or this show if you're tuning in. We have 2 TVs in here. Actually, we have 3. And we can watch any sort of sporting event that we want to, and it's a really great time to get together with folks. But if you are wanting to watch CHSN...
If you're on the east side of our office, you cannot watch CHSN. If you're
Correct.
on the west side of our office, you can watch CHSN.
Yes. And sometimes, depending on our building, which air conditioning is going to work at the time, but it really is comical that by a matter of, what would you say, 200 feet... We have a great feed on one TV, and on the other feed, we literally cannot watch White Sox baseball, Blackhawks, or Bulls on that particular TV or that antenna.
Hallway separates them. But yeah, I mean, the one thing, at least for the White Sox, is they have so many people in ticket sales that they could probably just move those over to advertising sales, right? You think? Anyways, that is mostly the talk for today on White Sox baseball. If you have any thoughts, let us know in the chat. David Snyder says, here's what the top 4 hitters in the Sox lineup should be every game. Majdroth, Vargas, Sosa, Elko. Get more wins with that, guaranteed. One thing that Venable has mentioned is that he wants to get wins every single day, right? Like when he was defending the opener strategy, he said that's what's going to give us the ability to win each and every day. One thing that Venable is very much a kind of I don't want to use that word, but like he's very much it's a crutch of his, maybe that's probably the better word. A crutch of his is that he wants to go left, right, or, left switch, right, left switch, right. He wants the inability to not be exposed his team to, there's 3 righties coming up. We can just put a right-handed pitcher in, and then they're going to just negate all of those righties. With the lack of power and the lack of true talent on this team, he, I think, wants to spread out the ability to get pop at any moment. If Palacios walks, hey, you have Elko down on the bottom of the lineup to possibly drive him in. So I don't think you're going to see Majdroth, Vargas, Sosa, Elko ever back-to-back 4 in a row with a Venable lineup because
I want to throw Caro in there, too. I want to throw Caro in that list, too, as well. We've seen him in the 3-4 spot, too, as well, and I would consider him in certain matchups being in that 1 through 4.
Right, but the point is it's not even the top 4 hitters. The point is the structure of the lineup. He doesn't want, the top 4 hitters all at the top because then the bottom of the lineup is, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and the pitcher has an easy outing. I think he wants to at least spread out the talent in his lineup so that it isn't always an easy inning for a pitcher, but also it is the structure. Caro fits in a little bit because you could go Majdroth, Vargas, Caro, Sosa, Elko, lefty, or switch. And that's what we saw today was right, left, right, left, right, left. But sometimes he's like left, right. He's used, I think, 50 lineups in all 50 games. So he's never had a consistent lineup. So one thing, David Snyder, is you're not ever going to see the same top 4 hitters in a White Sox lineup because that's just not how Venable has rolled yet to the point. And I don't think he will roll until there's actual talent to pen in every day. He has to pencil in every single day because he's trying to play matchups. He's trying to play who's got the most energy, who's the hottest. He doesn't have anyone that he can rely on like that. So anyways, I got to get to the new Statcast stuff. Did you have anything else, Joey?
No, I was just going to say I just found it interesting per your point that, Chase Majdroth and Miguel Vargas have seemed to earn spots in that 1, 2, 3, some sort of order for right now because they've been the most consistent. So it speaks a lot to the offensive lineman and the tendencies of Will Venable.
I mean, Majdroth and Vargas are going to be one. Majdroth is 1, I think, at this point right now. I don't think there is a point or any point that he's going to take him out of the leadoff spot.
100%.
And Vargas is going to be 2 or 3. All right, there is a new Statcast. There are new Statcast metrics that I want to talk about. There is swing path, attack angle, and swing path tilt. What Statcast defines these as are attack angle and attack direction in which the sweet spot of the bat is traveling as it impacts the ball. They also say that both attack angle and attack direction are also tied to a batter's swing timing. An early swing naturally leads to them striking the ball with an attack direction more to the pull side with a higher attack angle. So usually a higher attack angle means that you would be uppercutting the ball. If you are a little later, that means you're going to be more in line with the ball. And then if you're late, you're likely going to be getting on top of the ball, and then that causes the ground outs. But the biggest thing that they want to say is contacting the ball with an attack angle between 5 to 20 degrees is ideal. One thing that you should be very, very excited about when you look at the 2025 ideal attack angle percentage leaderboard, you'll look at number 1, you'll see Corbin Carroll at 73.1%. There are 4 major league players in 2025 with a 70% ideal attack angle. Kyle Schwarber's number 2, 71.3%. 3 is Colorado Rocky Brenton Doyle, their outfielder, 70.9%. And 4th, Miguel Vargas, 70.3%. So Vargas is one of, along with Brenton Doyle, top righties in ideal attack angles. So when you look at Miguel Vargas, you can honestly say that if you flipped his stance, he'd probably have a pretty left-handed swing. He probably has the swing of a left-hander on the right-handed side. You look at 5, Juan Soto, 67.9. So you even look at that jump there from 4 to 5. Vargas is at 70.3%, Juan Soto 67.9%. So one thing that Vargas has always had is ideal swing paths. And now that they've built up his muscle, James Fegan has said, too, that his biceps look much bigger, not like Jose Abreu's biceps, but just much bigger for Miguel Vargas. So he has added weight. And now with his hands being higher, that is able to him get to fastballs higher. He's able to have his actual swing path be at a higher level, so he's able to cover the high parts of his zone. And we've seen that pay off in strides. Maybe they'll just start pitching him low and away, and that will be the hole in his swing. But right now, he has a very, very, very pretty swing. And we've seen so far that when he's able to make contact at a consistent basis, he can be a dominant player. I'm just very, very excited that the ideal attack angle percentage had a White Sox in it. Usually you see leaderboards. There's no White Sox. We got a White Sox. He's above Juan Soto. This is so cool.
I was messing around last night, and I was just like looking at stats, and I'm pulling it up right now. You know how you did, like, we did this with Tim Anderson a couple years ago when he was really struggling at the plate, and you were like all the qualified hitters and their batting averages and so on and so forth. And I had to look it up. And this list from 158 to 171 is just a murderer's row of what the heck is going on. Number 164, by the way, Luis Robert. That's probably gone down a little bit even more. 165, Andrew Vaughn, among 171 qualified hitters of batting average right now.
Yuck. Yeah, not good. Going back to ideal attack angle percentage, too, for 2025, you look at the White Sox leaderboard. And the big thing that stands out, Miguel Vargas, 70.3%, obviously the leader for the Chicago White Sox. 2, Brooks Baldwin, 59.7%. Again, the tops of the league are above 65%. The entire top 10 are above 65%. The top 10, Corbin Carroll, Kyle Schwarber, Brenton Doyle, Miguel Vargas, Juan Soto, William Contreras, Alex Bregman, Cedric Mullins, Carlos Santana, Luis Garcia Jr., some really decent players in there. So you see a pretty decent drop-off there between 10 and then the White Sox second hitter. There's about a 5% drop-off between Brooks Baldwin and then 10%, or the 10th place. So Baldwin's at 59.7%. Robert, he's third, 56.5%. Lenine Sosa, 56.1%. Matt Tice, 54.6%. Michael A. Taylor, 54.4%. Benintendi, 52.2%. Palacios, 51.5%. Vaughn, 59.7%. Mydroth, 48%. Maton, 41.7%. And Caro, 40.7%. What I want to talk about first is just 9 through 12 here, and we can cross off Maton. You see Vaughn, Mydroth, and Caro as the only hitters below 50. And what that sticks out to me as guys with very flat bat paths that are not really ever swinging uppercuts at the ball. And when Vaughn does swing an uppercut at the ball, he's usually popping out. So, like, it's just kind of outside of his range when he does do it, and you could see the negative effects when it happens. So I just think the lack of power we're seeing with Vaughn is that his natural swing path is pretty flat, is probably below 5 degrees, or at least consistently below like 10 degrees. Vaughn swings a very, very flat bat, which makes it very difficult for him to create power, but then makes sense to why in college he had a crazy average, because he was just able to consistently make contact with the ball and keep at-bats alive, which against college hitters will lead to walks because they just have a lot poorer contact, or is going to lead to home runs because they're right down the middle of the plate. Against high-level competition, Vaughn's swing path is not it. And Mydroth and Caro, you might say the same thing, but they're playing second base and catcher. They have a much higher defensive value than Vaughn does at first base or DH. And the one thing that you see with Caro is his ability to not swing and miss. He has a very flat bat path, which makes it tough to swing and miss. Makes sense that he's the worst at an ideal attack angle, and it makes sense why he doesn't have many extra base hits. Same with Mydroth. They keep a very flat bat path because they're very small and tiny, so they'd rather just make contact and put the ball in play. What is Vaughn doing? Doing the same exact thing. The one thing that makes me kind of gross, Joey, flash the graphic so we can get out of here, is Luis Robert Jr.'s numbers, because honestly, I know he sucks. I can look at all of his numbers from 2025 and 2024. His actual production has sucked. You look at these numbers on screen, and what you see is his average bat speed is pretty consistently around 75 miles per hour. His swing path tilt is usually anywhere in between 35 degrees and 37 degrees. His attack angle is between 10 degrees and 12 degrees. He's usually pulling the ball in some direction between 2 degrees and 6 degrees. His ideal attack angle, weirdly this year, is the best it's ever been. He's never ideally swung his bat more ideal than before. So you wonder again, like, why is he not hitting the ball hard? First of all, or why is he not getting the results? First of all, he's not swinging as much as he's done. So he is walking more, but that's mainly just because he's swinging less. So do we need to see Luis Robert Jr. just swing more often? Possible. The one thing that also sticks out to me is you could look at the intercept point versus front of plate, and you could see that in inches, 2025, negative 2.1, 2024, negative 3.5, 2023, negative 0.8. I think he's letting the ball get pretty deep. So maybe, just maybe, if he started to swing a little bit earlier, that could lead to more pop. You could see that in 2023, his attack direction was 6 degrees to the pole side. He was at 2 degrees to the pole side and 4 degrees to the pole side in 2024 and 2025. So maybe this is a timing issue. Maybe he isn't seeing the ball as effectively as he is. He is letting the ball get deep. So I just am wondering, like, what is the actual issue? Looking at the swing metrics for Robert, it seems like he's letting the ball get a little bit too deep. But also, he's just swinging less, and he's just got less of a sample. I think at the end of the day, the sample might work itself out. Right now, it looks atrocious. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. If you appreciate this podcast, hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll be back on Sunday for a post game after the Rangers and White Sox game. Hopefully, we're talking about a White Sox series win against the Texas Rangers. We'll talk to you then on Sunday. Thank you to Joey Christopoulos for producing the show. I'm Sean Anderson. This has been the CHGO White Sox podcast.